Now our third Iraq report. It's about care to service personnel with severe brain injuries. Susan Denser reports for our health unit, a partnership with the Robert Wood Johnson Foundation.
There's 2 more coming.
Among the wounded from Iraq and Afghanistan, there are miraculous recoveries, like that of brain-injured ABC newsman Bob Woodruff.
I'm standing here tonight because I got the best military and civilian medical care in the world.
Joe, look at me.
But far more common than Woodruff's case are the traumatic brain injuries that don't end in miracles. Take 23-year-old Joseph Yoon.
Watch this, all right? It's okay? If it's okay, thumbs up. Come on, Joe. All right.
Yoon was an Army sergeant in Iraq when he was hurt in a suicide bombing 2 years ago. Penetrating shrapnel forced removal of part of his brain.
He's doing very well today.
Brought back to the U.S., Yoon nearly died several times. One close call came last year when he acquired a dangerous heart infection while recuperating at a private rehabilitation hospital.
Try to fix it a little bit.
Near death, Yoon was transferred to the Veterans Health Administration Hospital in Manhattan. He's been an inpatient there for the entire past year.
Joe, how do you feel? Feel good? Yeah?
Dr. Michael Simberkoff, medical chief of staff at the VA hospital, told us Yoon has made progress over the past year.
He was bedbound, really uncommunicative, and really almost incapable of, recognizing individuals or responding to stimuli. He's now getting physical therapy on a daily basis, occupational therapy, some speech therapy as well.
Joe, did you give her a kiss today?
The VA has told Yoon's parents that he can stay at the hospital indefinitely, but that it will also pay to support his care if they choose to take him home or transfer him to a private facility. Whatever the case, his care will clearly cost millions of dollars over his lifetime. Meanwhile, Yoon's parents, naturalized U.S. citizens from South Korea, are overwhelmed about what to do next.
I don't know what to do. I can't live with him. Who's going to take care of him? Every single day, my family is crying, really. Every single day.
As the conflicts in Iraq and Afghanistan drag on, the number of severely wounded armed forces personnel continues to climb. Now, in the wake of revelations about chaotic outpatient care at Walter Reed Army Medical Center, there's renewed focus on whether the nation is adequately prepared for the rising tally, or for the staggering costs and other burdens of caring for the severely wounded.
You're tired, right? Right?
Linda Bilmes is a professor of public finance at Harvard's Kennedy School of Government, who studied war-related costs.
For every person who has actually been killed in this war, there are 16 wounded and injured, and this is an unprecedented number. In Vietnam, for example, there were 2.6 injuries for every fatality, and in Korea there were 2.8.
If you're hungry, thumbs up.
Among the worst wounds are the traumatic brain injuries like Yoon's. The VA estimates that up to 1,600 Iraq and Afghanistan veterans with TBI are being cared for in the VA system.
You're not sleeping today.
So one of the other things that you might want to do with regards to your mother-in-law is...
Michael Mason is a professional brain injury case manager. He reported on these devastating war wounds for a recent article in Discover magazine. He says costs begin at the moment of injury, when armed forces medical personnel spring into action.
If you were in America, what would it cost for you to have 20 people rush to you at the site of your injury, whisk you away, and within 10-15 minutes you would be at a level 1 trauma center where you could have up to 10 surgical specialists operating on you simultaneously? That's unheard of. The cost of that would be exorbitant.
Bilmes says the long-term costs follow when armed forces personnel are discharged from active duty and file claims for disability benefits from the VA.
In Vietnam, for example, a typical veteran who was claiming a disability claimed for maybe 3 different conditions. Now, a veteran typically claims for 5 different disabling conditions, but there have been 50,000 claims that have been received in the last few months for 8 or more disabling conditions.
The long-term costs of those disability benefits will vary, says Bilmes, depending how long the conflicts in Iraq and Afghanistan go on and how many veterans file for disability. But she says the costs over 40 years in today's dollars could reach $75 billion to $150 billion. And even those sums could pale next to outlays for veterans' health care.
Assuming that 50% of the Iraq and Afghan veterans claim health care benefits at the Department of Veterans Affairs medical facilities, which is the same number as claimed in the first Gulf War, then you can anticipate in today's dollars a cost of somewhere between $300 and $600 billion of health care costs for these veterans.
Dr. Michael Cussman is acting Under Secretary for Health for the VA. He agrees the long-term costs will be considerable, but he says that on average, the newly returned veterans cost less than older vets from previous wars, who are now battling costly chronic disease.
We do spend about $5,800 per year per veteran. But if you look at the costs for these new veterans, and I'm not talking about the ones that are severely injured and needing polytrauma and things like that, but on the average, we're spending under $3,000 a year for those veterans because most of them are coming for things that aren't very costly to the system.